Boerne Radio 103.9 FM. On the way at 8:30, it's The Ascent with Crestmont Private Wealth. Right now, from the pages of the Boerne Star, it's the Boerne Brew with managing editor Jeff Flinn. This show is sponsored by the Boerne Star, and this is Boerne Radio.
Welcome, Boerne. Thank you for tuning in this morning. This is Jeff Flinn. I'm the managing editor of the Boerne Star. This is the Boerne Brew on Boerne Radio 103.9 FM. You know where you are. You're listening already. Well, thank you for tuning in. Great Saturday morning. We had a lot of smiles this week. We had rain. Some people rained on their parade, but man, there were a lot of smiles, a lot of happy hearts this week. So hopefully in the next week, when it's 104 degrees, you'll remember the rain of last week and look forward to a good summer. Happy summer, folks. It's right around the corner. I've got two guests here. My first venture down I-10 to have guests come in. We've got Fair Oaks Ranch here in the house. We got Fair Oaks Ranch Mayor Greg Maxton. I got Fair Oaks Ranch City Manager Scott Wiesengay. I'm not going to tell you how I butchered his name the first time I met him. This is one of those guys, the name just doesn't look the way it sounds, which is great. Thanks for coming in, guys. Greg, Mayor, I'll call you Mayor. That's the way we're going to be. Fair Oaks Ranch is a busy place right now. There's so many things going on out there. If you've been out there, you know it's building, much to the delight of some people, much to the chagrin of others. Let's talk about Post Oak. Post Oak subdivision is an area out there off of Ammon Road, correct? And you've had a couple meetings, and you're coming back with City Council, coming back for the first or second, third or fourth readings, whatever we have to have out there. Greg and Scott, when do you want to talk about Post Oak and explain to people what Post Oak is, or what it was and what it is now?
Well, this is started off as a development agreement that was signed 2017?
2013.
Wow.
And at that time, it authorized
645 units or households is what was originally approved in our 2013 development agreement. And that's what we've been working on since then.
Right.
And at that time that it was signed, a lot of the residents within Fair Oaks Ranch were not in agreement with that amount of homes being built on 330 acres. And so this development agreement is just kind of hung out there for...
That's half-acre lots or smaller, right?
It is.
If I do the quick math, the mathematician I am.
You know, so we had a developer come in, and, well, we've had multiple developers interested in it, but this was the first developer that came in and said, in agreement, that we would do something that is within the character of what you want as part of Fair Oaks Ranch. So that's what really started the process. I think from our perspective, from my perspective, for many reasons, we don't want more development within our community or within the Hill Country area overall.
Right.
But if we can find something that we can manage that growth, because we can't stop it, but we can manage it.
Right.
And that's what we're doing with this Post Oak development.
That's a big key is people that are anti-growth. You got to realize it's going to happen. Texas property rights. Property owners have the right to deal with their property the way they see. And you need to be out front. If you can manage it when it's coming, you can be ahead of it. For instance, Scott, tell me what you guys have now at Post Oak.
Right. So like you mentioned, Texas is a property tax right state, and we have to work within that context to get to the best deal, if you will, that we can to respect and pay honor to the rural heritage that is Fair Oaks Ranch, the history, the development, that rural aesthetic, hill country character that comes up again and again and again. So right. As we began working with this current group, we were fortunate because they are a local developer and they had an instant recognition of that. So that wasn't as high a hurdle to cross as maybe some other proposals had been in the past. But that was our primary goal. We have most of the folks in our community concerned about density, so the size of lots, and certainly with respect to water use, the most valuable resource we have. We want to make sure that we're not overextending our natural resources. So as we worked with them, we said there are many aspects to this development agreement when we started and to where we are today, but really that density was the main driver. So ultimately, we started with 645 units in the original agreement, and we are now at 278, which is an almost 60% reduction over the original agreement. And that agreement was passed last week. And as you mentioned, Jeff, there are some public hearings and other hurdles yet to climb in the council process, but we're in a really good position going forward. And I think a development that matches the community, matches its neighbors in that area, and really reflects the vision and the tools that were laid out by our council and their predecessors many years ago.
You had a public meeting inviting people to come in. Did they come in with pitchforks and lights and torches, or did they come in thanking you guys for getting it from 645 down to a reasonable measure?
Yeah, we turned this an open house. And so we provided all the information on the history of what had happened with this property. We had the developer there. We had our engineering team there, city staff there, providing all the information that we knew about this. And really, no pitchforks. A lot of people came in asking questions, just wanted to know more about the development and what was going on. And I think as Scott addressed some of the questions, water was probably one of the big issues that was brought up. And what we explained is that originally we had planned for 645 lots to be built on this property and planned for supporting water to those 645. And now with almost a 60% reduction going down to 278, it's not saving water, but we do have a better capability of supporting 278 than 645.
Right. And a big addition to this is the 90-degree turn will be curved, correct? Do you want to talk about that, Scott?
Sure, yeah, that was one of the provisions as well. There are two turns along Emmon Road, and those who are familiar with the area know how we have those 90-degree turns where people have to slow almost to a crawl to make it around those curves
Angles.
or those changes. And both of those spots have been frequent occurrences of either accidents or near misses. So as part of this development as well, the property owner is going to dedicate to the city a little over 4 acres for us to redevelop that turn. And in addition to that, they're also going to contribute to the building of that curb. This agreement actually flowed in nicely because the voters of Fair Oaks Ranch passed a general obligation bond issue to reconstruct 4 major streets in our city, Ammon Road being one of them.
Right.
So we have that planned for about 2 years out. We will fix the curve as a part of that. They will contribute to that project that we already had planned. And by the time this is done, we're going to have a really nice looking road out there.
Timing is everything.
Absolutely.
But this one did work out pretty
4
well.
acres. Think about that, folks. Here's a land developer giving up 4 acres to correct a turn. That's not something a landowner does every day. You know, they don't just give away acreage.
I think
folks,
it goes back really to the original concept, what I talked about, a developer coming in and wanting to work with the city of Fair Oaks Ranch. And I believe that really demonstrates a lot of what he did.
Right. Folks, the voices you hear that are not mine, we have Fair Oaks Ranch City Manager Scott Wiesengay and Fair Oaks Ranch Mayor Greg Maxton here talking about all things Fair Oaks this morning. I want to talk about just some hit and miss things. We'll start with police dogs. You just had one retire and you got one coming on. Was Buddy the first, or is it first in line? And talk to me about that a little bit.
First one I was aware of.
Same.
Yeah, so Buddy was the very first one.
10-year-old Belgian Malinois that had been with us for 7 years. Had a pretty good track record of supporting our police department. And he will go and live out the rest of his life with his dog handler, David Magnus, police officer David Magnus. So we really did a nice ceremony for him. I think it was great. He's been a part of our police department. I think all police departments reflect or recognize their canines as really police officers, part of their organization. And so he got the same privileges that any officer would get from retiring from our police department.
And Buddy's going to have a buddy in the Magnus home, correct?
Buddy's going to have several buddies at the Magnus home. Officer Magnus, he's our canine officer, has been that for many years, great, and just an overall dog lover. I know he personally owns several. He's going to have a great time in his retirement. As the mayor said, many years of admirable service,
Buddy's successor, Vox, will be with Officer Magnus as well, correct?
He is, yeah. Canine Vox, we procured recently in agreement with the TSA. They're working to train them in areas of that and a couple areas that didn't quite meet their needs, but we think would meet our needs perfectly. So Vox is on site now. He's acclimating himself to the entire department, to its operations. And as we go through that process and the training process, I'm looking forward to the time when the community will see a lot more of Vox around the town, perhaps even at some neighbor events, and just a really friendly dog. I'm looking forward to working with and seeing Vox out in the city as well.
And getting into the elementary schools. That's always neat to watch when those kids' eyes light up when the dog comes in. It's, and they do the cone where they have the traffic cones and they put some marijuana or something scented under the cones so they can show how the dog reacts and goes and sits. Dogs don't scrap or tear things up. They go and sit when there's a sample at a car or a truck or something like that. So,
but I believe we do have, because Vox has not really been introduced to the community yet.
Right.
And we do have a series of introduction, council meeting, and online presence that we'll do to introduce Vox to the community.
Well, let us know. We'd like to be there.
Yeah, we really wanted to focus on Buddy first, give him the recognition that he deserved as part of retirement before the introduction of Vox.
Yeah, because when they sent me the release, it was like there was hundreds of these and dozens of arrests. He took part in a lot of things and helped in Fair Oaks. Welcome to Fair Oaks. Tell me about the gateway. We have a gateway on
Fair Oaks Parkway.
Fair Oaks Parkway at
Leslie Pfeiffer.
There we go.
Leslie Pfeiffer Road.
It's very close to the I-10 interchange at Fair Oaks Parkway, yes.
Yeah, tell me about what's the mindset behind that and bringing people, everybody should have a monument or something saying welcome to Kirby, welcome to Converse, welcome to Comfort, welcome to Waring, whatever it should be, welcome to Fair Oaks. Tell me about it.
And I think everybody that lives in a city takes a lot of pride in their community and wants it recognized or highlighted. But there was a time period before they did the reconstruction of the I-10 access road that we did have the boat feature. That was that element that recognized that you're entering the city of Fair Oaks Ranch. Mm-hmm. And with the reconstruction, the boat feature came down. And right there at the CVS and the Frost Bank, there's not enough room to put anything back up there at the intersection of the Parkway and I-10. And so we put together a branding committee. Really, Scott led the efforts in that. And they came up with this current design that's construction started on it last week.
You got things underway. How long is it going to take? It came in a little bit over budget. You want to talk about that? When things come in over budget, we scream and stamp, but you cities are usually ready for that.
Typically, yeah. All projects come with a contingency. And from the beginning, like the mayor said, this is a project that's been at least conceptually talked about for probably 4 or 5 years now, going back to the initiation of that council branding committee that the mayor talked about. So
I thought you were going to say going back to COVID.
A little bit before that, actually. But it got a little bit delayed due to COVID. But as the mayor mentioned, after that, we got a group of residents together to help us envision what embodies Fair Oaks Ranch as a gateway, as a feature, as a welcome to our community. So they came up with a design. We engaged some consultant engineers to help us with the technical aspects of that design, get us through the process. We initially showed that to the council. They signed off as a great design, and we went through the process. It came in, like I said, a little bit over budget. We estimated initially about 140,000, and we're at about 190, just shy of 200 right now. But again, below our very initial conceptual estimates. But
right.
What we did and what had planned for the beginning is apply for a grant through our Municipal Development District, the MDD for short. They receive a sales tax that goes into the district that they can use and distribute grants and disbursements for the betterment of the community.
Right.
And this was a key feature that certainly meets the vision and the mission of the MDD. They granted the funds to construct this feature in full, and so no property tax dollars will be used in the construction of this site. We expect it will be done in 4 months or less, so
really?
Before the fall, we should see a brand new entrance to our community that will not only be a great addition to our community, but we think will also set the foundation for future entrances and monuments at other key intersections and locations in our city as well. So we hope this is just the beginning.
I think the two key phrases there were before the fall and no property taxes.
Absolutely.
You probably, each time you guys have a proposal or go forward, how much is this going to cost me? That comes up time and time again. So.
Well, I think the branding committee came up with a great design. It's a ranch-style design archway that you normally see as you're entering into big ranches. It'll go in the median in between the 2 lanes of the parkway, the north and southbound lanes. But it really goes back to our heritage that Ralph Fair established a ranch in this location, and has further developed now to what has become the city of Fair Oaks Ranch.
And you guys have a big, beautiful bridge. Talk to me about how far along. Last time I was there, it was like you could tell it was gone and it was going to be happening. How's that happening for you guys? It's not you guys' construction, but tell me about what that means for people who are coming through and coming in and out of Fair Oaks Ranch.
Well, it's a TxDOT project. So FM 3351 is a TxDOT road. So they're constructing the bridge. And we did have a lot of rain this week. And I believe it's it may be 4 years since the Cibolo has flowed. And it is flowing today.
Really?
And it flows underneath 3351. But several years ago, it flooded out the bridge that goes over 3351. Really creates some issues for, people traveling on 3351, but separates really the north and south of Fair Oaks Ranch, which is a challenge for our residents, but more concerning is for our emergency services that need to get from south to north. If this bridge floods out, we're going to have problems. More problems than just closing the road.
That'll be one of those 1,000-year floods.
Yes.
One of those, what is it, the Noah's Ark floods.
Yes.
What else is going on at Fair Oaks? We have the community center. Are we right around the corner from seeing that? How far along is the brain trust for the community center?
I think we still have some work on the community center. We're going through the process. And
nothing's overnight.
Well, no.
Yeah, nothing.
I found that out in part of city operations.
Nothing's overnight. I found that out for the last 3 years.
So we're nearly complete with the final design on the proposed community center. The city took proposals a couple of months ago. We have narrowed it down to a finalist contractor, basically, and those will be the subject of upcoming discussions with the city council. We've been negotiating over the last several weeks to get to a point where this is the final design as proposed. We have a contractor in place. We are proposed, I mentioned MDD earlier. We're talking about applying for an additional grant with the MDD to fund that project as well. So all of those aspects will be the subject of the City Council's consideration, deliberation, really in the month of June. So you'll be seeing that coming to the dais here next week and probably the next several weeks after that.
Like you said, it's been a long, drawn-out process, and it's been, correct me if I'm wrong, the concept got a little bigger. The outside, the formation of the things. I mean, and that comes from interaction with your council, interaction with your administration, interaction with your residents. I think residents had a lot more to do with this than they think they did. Correct?
A little bit, yeah. And really the concept of a community or civic center has been in the city plan since I think 2017. So this is also another long thought about, long conceptual project. And
we're allowed to make up words, so you can do whatever you want, Scott.
And one of my key themes with our staff and with council vision is in the past 2 or 3 years has been execution. Our forefathers, if you will, spent a lot of time developing plans and tools in place to control our development, our infrastructure, from having zoning in place and our development code to establishing a master plans for infrastructure. And now we're focusing on getting those projects done that have been in the works for a long time. I mentioned the bonds earlier. And this community center is just another example of a long planned project that we're embarking on putting the finishing touches on. So it started, like I said, 7 or 8 years ago as a concept. It morphed several times. COVID, you mentioned before, that delayed and shifted the focus for a couple of years. This current iteration of the project really started about 3 years ago. The council asked us to reinvigorate, quote, the project, and we've been working since then. We had initially envisioned in this version about a 4,500 to 5,000 square foot facility. The current design is at 5,300 square feet, so it's not that much more than what was initially envisioned. But it was envisioned as a meeting place for the city council, for residents, for HOAs, for town hall events, for election space. We have sometimes 2 counties voting at a time at our location, and our current location gets very crowded. So really a multi-purpose facility that has some flex space as its main area, along with a couple of small rooms in addition for smaller meetings and conferences, but something that is certainly a need in our community to fulfill those aspects and others. And again, we're just looking to complete another vision that has been in the works for a long time.
For those who might have been just tuning in, when we mentioned community center, we're talking Fair Oak Ranch, folks. Boerne, you need to get your community center right along behind us. But there's so much happening in Boerne. There's a lot happening in Fair Oaks Ranch. My guests today are Fair Oaks Ranch Mayor Greg Maxton and our Fair Oaks Ranch City Manager Scott Wiesengay. We've been talking about everything Fair Oaks from the big, beautiful bridge on FM 3351. I always get the numbers mixed up. So FM 3351, we've been talking about the community center, the Gateway, Post Oak subdivision. The Fair Oaks Ranch Golf and Country Clubs, it's going to undergo renovation of its own, correct? They just announced a renovation project.
Yeah, they're right in the middle of it right now. They've done significant upgrades to their facilities, golf courses, tennis courts, and right now they're in the middle of revamping what used to be the Ralph Ayers home that serves as the country club facility, and they're inside right now really doing a big reconstruction on the inside of the facility.
Are they bringing in any pickleball courts for you pickleballers out there in Fair Oaks Ranch?
I believe they do have pickleball as part of their services.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's an avid group right there. If you play pickleball, they're going to take care of you in both Fair Oaks Ranch and in Bernie. So,
Well, you bring up the country club, and it's centrally located within the city of Fair Oaks Ranch and really provides a median for families all throughout our community. And because we are a golf cart community, we do allow golf carts on our streets. You'll see a lot of golf carts traveling to and from homes to the country club.
right.
They have big pools, tennis courts. I mean, you mentioned a lot of and even nightly dining, especially on the weekends. They'll have bands out on the back patio and sit outside and enjoy the nice
Right.
summertime and
The
listen
view-
to band. Kids are running around having a good time. It's a great idea.
and sit there and enjoy the view of the golf course.
And we've enjoyed many great partnerships with the country club over the years as a city entity, and it is a central hub for the community. And one of those great partnerships is our July 4th event, and that's just around the corner, coming up
Right.
here before too
month
long,
now.
a month now. And that's something else that was deferred by COVID for a couple of years. That seems to be one of our themes today. But we've held a fantastic laser and fireworks show for the last 2 years in succession. We're doing that again this year in partnership with the club. It will be on July 4th. Last year we had, I think, well over 4,000
Wow.
people attend. We expect even more this year. So just a fantastic event where people can gather for hours on end. I know that much like the parades here in Boerne, people put their lawn chairs out really early, stake their claim, and it's really just a fun event for everyone. The public is welcome. You don't have to be a club member to attend, and we're holding that right on the 4th. The city's sponsoring the show, and the club is hosting on site. So if you have the time and inclination, please join us.
To make up words, that was a commonality for me when I first moved out to Boerne. And one day I'm driving down the road and there's 150 lawn chairs on the side. I'm going, what are all these lawn chairs doing out here at 8:30 in the morning? They're getting ready for the parade. Like, really?
Stake in your spot.
Yeah,
Right.
Stake your spot. At least, and we don't have anybody go out like moving somebody's chairs down so they can fit their 3 chairs in. You know, there's
Right.
none of that going on. That was just a concept coming from where I've never seen that before. That was so neat to see that communities turn out like that. So you've got your community turning out for your parade. And if you had the community center built, if it got rained out, you could come inside.
Just down the road.
Where is it, at the golf course, or where's the main entity for your celebration?
For the July 4th, it's at the country club on the driving range.
Okay.
That's where they'll shoot the fireworks. And they'll have an area set up where people can sit and watch the fireworks. They'll have food trucks, restroom facilities, things for kids to do during the time period waiting on the fireworks to come. And then a lot of people drive their golf carts up and park along the edges of the driving range to watch the fireworks show.
Right. That's great. That's
Loud music and good time.
loud music, good time, and very little golf going on at that time. But it's dusk anyway, so you got to get off the golf course by then anyway. So we're talking Fair Oaks Ranch. We're looking at a weekend. This is Saturday, May 31st. Tomorrow's the first day of June. We're actually leapfrogging into summer. I know Memorial Day seems like the start of summer, but not until you hit that June 1st. Not till June, until you flip the calendar. Do people still flip calendars? Until your thing goes 0601, which is tomorrow. We start June. What's June hold for you guys? What are you going to do this summer besides taking part in taking care of your city? What are your plans?
I hope we can watch more storms roll through our area and provide more rain. Fill up that aquifer in Canyon Lake. That's one of the big plans.
We talked about several of our key projects already that you'll be seeing, but the city stays busy year-round, and particularly in summer months, that's prime for our street maintenance season, and we have a very robust program to keep those streets in shape. So we don't have to do many of those large-scale projects. So you'll be seeing sealing and overlaying of our streets, crack sealing to make sure those stay in shape. So you'll see the crews around town. Won't be much in the way of traffic delays or diversions. Just be mindful. And for those who see them, it's always nice if we can get a little friendly wave while they're out there roasting in that summer heat as well.
I worked road construction for my father's company during my college years in the summer, and you'd be out there and people be so mad at you, and they'd let you have it. But when that road's done, it's like, oh, this is such a beautiful road. And I'm sure people right now driving through the road construction just got done. This is so gorgeous. It's so soft and so smooth. People really appreciate the finished product. The finished product is hopefully forever, but at that amount of time you have to build and construct, people have to keep their patience. You got to be patient.
I joke a lot that orange is my favorite color because it's the color of progress. It takes a little patience, but like you say, the finished product is well worth the effort. So we'll be doing that. We'll be hoping for more rain and making sure our roads are safe during that time, but let's keep the rain coming.
Well, folks, keep your calendars free this summer. We're all going to go out to Fair Oaks Ranch when they have the ribbon cutting for the Gateway Arch sometime probably September, October, something like that.
Yeah, we'll let you know.
Yeah, you'll let us know. And you can come out for the 4th of July if you have time. Venture out there. Fair Oaks Ranch, well, thank you for coming in, guys. Greg Maxton, Mayor, Scott Wiesengay, City Manager. Thanks for enlightening us and sharing some of your city's aspects and some of the things going on out there. So,
well, Jeff, thank you for the opportunity to meet you.
Yep.
Yes, thank you very much.
Yeah, we'll do. Well, thanks, folks. Hey, thanks for tuning in. This is Saturday, May 31st. Tomorrow's the first day of June. Hope you have your plans ready. The Boerne Pool's open. Boerne Lake's always there. Just get your calendar. And remember, we're going to have a nice hot summer. When it rains on your parade, enjoy the rain. Thanks for tuning in, folks. God bless, and have a great, happy weekend. Bye-bye, folks.